Here's Donald Trump reacting to the Supreme Court saying, hey, the DOJ lied to us and the Commerce Department lied to us about their reasons for including a question on citizenship in the census. They left the door open to the idea that DOJ or Commerce could come back and give another justification for it, but it seems really hard to believe that a grown-up could rule that this is a legitimate response when they had made a point of saying, no, there's only one reason why we're doing this. And it turns out with the exposure of documents that came from a Republican operative that they were lying about that. It's hard to imagine the Supreme Court doing that, but it's also from a timing perspective, very hard to imagine because the 2020 census is, I think, scheduled to go out in October. They're going to start to do the counting because it takes several months. So I don't know what you could do to foreclose the or to reopen the question of literally the question of what citizenship you have. Here's Donald Trump, though, coming up with another idea.
Will you be delaying the census, Mr. President?
Where?
Will you be delaying the census for the Supreme Court ruling on the census?
Yeah, we're looking at that. We think that a census, obviously, if you do all of this work, and you're talking about, nobody can believe this, but they spend billions of dollars on the census, and you're not allowed to ask. You go knock on doors of houses, check houses, you go through all this detail, and you're not allowed to ask whether or not somebody is a citizen. So you can ask other things, but you can't ask whether or not somebody's a citizen. So we are trying to do that. We're looking at that very strongly.
And why, I'm sorry if I could follow up. Why do you think it's so important that that question be asked on this?
I think it's very important to find out if somebody's a citizen as opposed to an illegal. I think that there's a big difference to me between being a citizen of the United States and being an illegal. And you know, the Democrats want to treat the illegals with health care and with other things better than they treat the citizens of our country. If you look at a coal miner that has black lung disease, you're talking about people that get treated better than the coal miner. And these people got sick working for the United States, and we treated people that just walked in better. You look at what they're doing in California, how they're treating people. They don't treat their people as well as they treat illegal immigrants. So at what point does it stop? It's crazy what they're doing. It's crazy, and it's mean, and it's very unfair to our citizens. And we're going to stop it. But we may need an election to stop it, and we may need to get back the House.
Okay, so I want to show you folks something that's really interesting about this. I guarantee you, I will bet you everything I own, that if this case returns to any court and the DOJ comes in and says, oh, the real reason we need to ask this question is because we have another provision of the Voting Rights Act that we want to promote. The opposing attorneys are going to say, here is exhibit. Well, we know what exhibit A was. That was the documents that we found on the hard drives of the godfather of the gerrymandering. Here's exhibit B. The President of the United States, when asked, why do you need this question on there? It had nothing to do with the Voting Rights Act. He didn't say a word about it. All he said was, it's bad the way that anybody's giving benefits to immigrants. Guess what? The census is a constitutionally mandated count of every person in the United States. When the Constitution enumerates a specific role for government and a specific task, anything that you do that in any way can be seen and construed as inhibiting the efficacy of that task must attain a certain high standard before the court will allow that thing to go forward. And so, Donald Trump, thank you for protecting our census by being such an incredibly racist blowhard. I don't know that he has...
And black lung disease advocate. I mean, that guy gutted funding
right
for black lung disease while in fact, in another one of his plays, speaking to misdirected frustration in West Virginia, which does have like an almost, colonial extraction status inside the United States with those industries and a huge public health problems, including that guy who ran for Senate himself and brought us Cocaine Mitch, who should be in prison. But just if it's Trump, so whatever, it's not a surprise. But it's like, I love how he reaches for the one example of like, oh, you mean the program that you lied about and cut?
Right.
Okay. All right.
We cut that.
That's how I remembered it.
That was a good lie.
So